I can assure you that our leaders have always accorded the highest priority in this issue. And as many of you will recall, we have been in discussions and negotiations with Japan for over 2 years since their announcement of the discharge in April 2021. Our leaders have been busy engaging with Japan, and their statements are very clear, their collective statements expressing our concern given our nuclear legacy, and that position has never changed. But, we respect and make allowance for each sovereign leader to take a decision, in their own right, in the best interest of what they consider to be the best interest of their people and their countries. So while there is a collective position, there is also, as I said in my opening comments, an emerging divergence of views. And I must say that, it is not only at the leaders' level that this divergence is emerging. You'll recall that even our panel of experts, the 5 panel experts that we hired to advise and lead us on this matter, there's also been a divergence of views where one of them has, expressed a diverging opinion to the other 4. So it is not surprising that there is now a divergence of views, not just at the political level, but also at the scientific level, and even at the community level. So it is to be expected, but we respect that divergence. However, I'm pleased to say that we have a process, and this issue will be discussed by our Forum Foreign Ministers in mid-September when they meet to talk about the collective position that we have taken and how we deal with this matter going forward. And I'm sure that matter will also be taken on board by our leaders when they meet in Marathon in November. But it is absolutely important for us. Yes. Well, we have hired an independent panel of experts. They have been advising and guiding us and our forum leaders. And at the same time, the IAEA also has given out a report on their findings on these very issues. And so, there is no uniformity of views. But the fact that there will be a protest march tomorrow, that's a democratic right of people to do that, and we respect that. In his release, the forum chair emphasized the fact that IAEA has given a firm commitment that they will have a presence on site to regularly, continually monitor the safety of the water to be released. So that is an assurance that I'm sure that some of our leaders have taken on board to ensure that there is no harm from the water to be released into the ocean. So that assurance and commitment from IAEA has served, I'm sure, to satisfy some of our leaders that safety measures are being implemented and taken to ensure the safety of the water. And it is happening. And it is something that we have been in discussions and negotiations with Japan for over 2 years. And so it's not a surprise. Yeah, there might be regret, but it's not a surprise that it is happening. And I must say that, it is well within Japan's sovereign rights to do what they're doing. And I am assured by the commitment given by Prime Minister of Japan that the release will not be starting until Japan is satisfied that all safety measures have been taken and that the water will be safe, that it will be safe for the citizens of Japan, but also for the citizens of the Pacific Island states. And that's a commitment that our leaders, I'm sure, we will be holding Japan to fully accountable should anything go wrong. Well, I can't argue with science. After all, we all agree that, in many ways, science informs how we do things. So if the science says that, it will be a negligible effect on the water, then, who am I to argue with that? I know, there will be some concerns about our, from our communities, and that's based on our human, assumptions and thinking. But the science is clear, according to the IAEA report, Although, of course, as I mentioned earlier on, there is a divergence of views even among the scientists on this issue. And that is the reality, that there is no uniform agreement on this issue. And so, I can't venture a view on that. I'm assured, and our leaders are assured by the commitment and the guarantee from IAEA that they will be establishing a presence on the ground in Fukushima to continually monitor, the safety of the water that is being released. And we're also holding Japan, Prime Minister and government of Japan, to their commitment to the forum that they will not allow the discharge to go ahead unless they are satisfied, based on scientific evidence, that it is safe to do so. So we will continue to hold them to that commitment, and trust me, we will not fail in holding them to that commitment. Yeah, I can state quite clearly that those other options were raised with Japan, and the options included burying the water in their own ground, and also an option advanced by our independent panel of experts for the water to be used in the mixing of concrete, for the development projects that Japanese government had in mind for Fukushima to rebuild the city. But those options were not considered and were dismissed by the government of Japan. So I can say that we tried our best to raise those options and to persuade the government of Japan to seriously consider those alternative options.
On this particular issue, there was no consideration on the full economic impact of it, given the process that we still have to complete as a forum, particularly leading to the leaders' meeting later this year in November. But in as far as the economic ministers' meeting is concerned, there's no consideration as far as the agenda is concerned on the economic implications.
And when we started on this journey way back in 2021, there was a very clear directive from leaders, a collective directive, to do this. So we engaged very actively with Japan. And I'm sure you will recall late last year that our advocacy, was very loud and clear and extensive. But again, that was in conformity and in compliance with the clear directive from our leaders. But now there is a divergence of views. We need to be very careful because we can only do what our leaders tell us to do. So there are those concerns. But as I said, at the end of the day, while we prefer to work as a collective, it is up to each leader, to determine what is best for their own country and their own people in their best interest. And I think, this is where we are now today. Yeah, I think, we've done our best to get Japan not to commence a discharge until there is full agreement that it's verifiably safe to do so. But Japan has taken a sovereign decision, and that point has now passed. What we need to focus on now is to hold Japan to account for the undertakings and the guarantees they have given us to ensure that if the water is not safe, based on monitoring by the IAEA and TEPCO on the ground in Fukushima, then the discharge will not continue until steps have been taken to make sure that the water is safe. So that is our course of action now that the discharge has commenced. It is a release, Lydia, because they're spread over 30 to 40 years. If it was a dump, it will all be dumped together. We have been guided by legal advice from our own legal expertise here at the Secretariat and from others. Yes, our leaders are also concerned with the implications that this would have on the Rarotonga Treaty. And of course, combined with our nuclear legacy issues and experiences, that was really what prompted our leaders to be very, very sensitive to this action by Japan in the first place. But now that they've had the reports from IAEA and our own panel of experts, the divergence of views have now emerged. But we have to move forward, Lydia. Japan has started the release, and the best we can do, and the only option that's open to us now is to ensure that Japan is held accountable to the safety of the water. And the guarantee from IAEA that they will have a presence on site to regularly and continually monitor the quality of the water that is being discharged. And we look forward to regular reports, not just from IAEA, but also to continuing dialogue at the highest level with the government of Japan on this issue moving forward. Yeah. Thank you, young journalist. That is a political issue that we at the Secretariat, will not venture into, because that is a matter that's outside our mandate. We are here to serve and to implement the decision of our leaders. And what happens in their own constituencies is an individual matter for each leader to address and to deal with. Well, we'll be guided by the announcement from the release from the forum chair that he will be in regular contact with IAEA and expect regular reporting from them on the quality and the status of the water released. So we will be guided by the forum chair and our forum leaders, from the engagement with Japan at that level.